belong to?
Sir, Edakochi.
Edakochi. Is it near to Toppambadi?
Yes, sir. Akinas College, you know, sir. Akinas College.
Yes, I know.
Sir, Akinas College next stop, Pambai Mula.
Oh, what a run! Sandosham കേട്ടോ. അവിടെയൊക്കെ വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട് കേട്ടോ. I was in INS Dronachari for 4 years. അവിടെ കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ടോ?
Sir, I completed first standard to 10th in INS Dronacharya.
Oh, great. Super.
Then
Very
plus
nice,
1 and plus 2 KV to Kataribak.
Very nice. Who was the principal that time when you were doing your school education? Do you remember?
Sir, principal Jyoti madam.
Jyoti
Sir
madam.
was Malaysian sir.
Malaysian sir was not the principal. He was a PGT mathematics. No?
Sir was our class teacher in 10th. My 10th class teacher, Malaysian sir.
Now he's in my place. Both of us, both Madheshwaran sir and myself, we are living in the same village called Chinnalapatti, which is near to Gandhigram. Sir is working in Gandhigram school, KV Gandhigram.
Sir is still working, sir?
He's still working. Both are working together. Malaysian sir and his wife, no? You know his wife. Who was TGT English in KV number 2.
Sir, I completed 10th in 2003.
No, that time she was working in KV number 2 as a TGT English. No, not in KV number 2, KV Port Trust.
Jyoti madam was our principal when I was in 10th standard. Jyoti madam. You know Jyoti madam, sir?
No. When I came there, Jyoti madam was not there. What is the name? A good name. I think Muniyappan, something like that. One Tamil principal was there. Muniyandi, I think he was there.
Muniyandi, sir. Sir, I'm also after that principal.
Koshi sir, you know Koshi sir, PGT English.
Koshi sir also was there, I know.
Yes. Okay, thank you. I think I will start our session. Okay.
So now I am doing MPhil, sir.
Where?
Sir, Bharathidasan University, Trichy.
Okay. This is last year. No, next year no MPhil. Okay. Very nice.
No, sir. Next year they are taking, sir told. Srinivasa Raghavan sir told.
Okay, fine. I got good friends over there. Our Balasubramanian sir is there, Jayaprakash sir is there, Surali sir
Jayaprakash
is there.
Sir, I called last week, Jayaprakash sir.
Okay. Both are good. All are good.
Sir, you know Bharathidasan college staff?
No, they are my friends. No, Balasubramanian sir is my friend, JP sir is my friend. One Ranganathan sir is there. Then Amsavani madam is there. They are my friends.
So Tinsy and me are doing MPhil, the Tinsy.
Great. Super. Okay, maybe we'll discuss. Now I think my PPT is visible to you now, my PPT?
Yeah, sir, this is visible.
Okay. So dear friends, let me continue my last session. In the last session, we started discussing about various methods of collecting data from the respondents, especially the primary data. Then the other day, we were discussing in length about questionnaire as a method of collecting data. Today, let me spend 10 to 15 minutes on other 3 different methods. Then we'll move on to have a discussion on UGC previous year question papers on 9.1, 9.2, 9.3 and 9.4. So that is today's agenda. So let me complete the remaining small portion of the last 9.4. So schedule method is another method of collecting data from the people. See, both questionnaire and schedule are one and the same. But the only one difference is that in the case of questionnaire, you go to the respondents or you mail them. You make the respondents write the answers. Okay. But in the case of schedule, instead of the respondents filling the particulars, as a researcher, you go to them, you ask questions, you get the answer from them, and you write the answer in the schedule. Okay, that's the only major difference between questionnaire and schedule. But in the case of schedule, normally whenever researcher has to go and collect the data, sometimes he may not be able to spend so much of time for data collection. So the researcher may appoint somebody called enumerator. So enumerator is a person who goes to people, ask questions, fill the schedule, bring it and give it back to the researcher. So enumerators are there. Sometimes the schedule, when you are preparing a schedule, especially to measure the attitude or opinion of the respondents, then it may be termed as rating schedule, a schedule that is going to rate the opinion or attitude of the respondents. Fine, good. Then comes observation, a very important method of collecting primary data, which is mostly used by biologists, physicians, astronomers. So that was a primary method of all those different set of discipline people. So what is observation? See, observation means you are going to have a very systematic weaving, okay, not a simple weaving, a systematic weaving of a specific phenomenon. Okay, we are not going to watch everything. We are going to have a view of only one particular phenomenon, that too in its proper setting, okay, where it occurs. You go there, you observe only that particular piece of phenomenon, that too for the specific purpose of collecting data for a particular study. So that is what observation is. The observation doesn't mean just you go see and come back. No, to collect the data for a particular study with a particular purpose, you go to a particular field setting and a place, and you have a systematic weaving. That is what is called as observation. The observation can be structured or unstructured. Structured means before you go to observe a group of participants, you decide well in advance what are the things I am going to observe. What is the order in which I am going to observe them? So all those things are pre-planned and decided in advance. Then you go and observe things. So they are called structured observation. And mostly structured observations used in descriptive research studies. You know very well, descriptive research study talks about describing the characteristics of a particular group of people or situation. So structured observation is to be used in the case of descriptive research studies. In the case of unstructured observation, the observer, the researcher does not have any pre-plan of what is to be observed, in what order things to be observed. He simply goes, whatever he comes across, he will make a note of all those observations. So such kind of observation is very useful in the case of exploratory research studies. So exploratory means you go and try to find out as much as information you want on a particular field. So go for unstructured observation. And the observation can be either participant observation or non-participant observation. See, participant observation in the sense, you as a researcher, for example, you want to collect data from some 40 students. So you go and join as a member of that group. So you will go and join as 41st member of that group. So along with students, you are also there with them for the purpose of collecting data. That's called participant observation. What is non-participant observation? See, a party is going on. Students are coming and using the library. You are not going to join them. You are going to stand away, maybe behind a pillar, or just you are sitting in a place and you are observing, okay, without mingling with them, without becoming a part of the people, those whom you are observing. You stand aloof and observe things. That is called non-participant observation or disguised observation. Participant observation, it can be either overt or covert. What is overt? Overt, O-V-E-R-T. O stands for open, in the sense, when you are going to be a part of the group, you are telling the people that I have come here to observe you. Okay, this is the purpose of my observation. By telling so, you are observing people. That is called overt observation. In the case of covert observation, you are part of the team, you are being with them, you are observing them, but you don't disclose your identity. You are not telling them the purpose of your observation. You don't reveal your identity. That is called covert observation. Fine, good. Then comes sometimes we need to combine both. Okay, when you're observing something, sometimes you have to stand behind a wall and observe them, and sometimes you have to go and merge with them as a participant and observe. It's called quasi-participant observation method. It all depends on your requirements. Then comes systematic observation, where before you go to observe, you are having clear-cut procedures. I am going to observe only these many things, and I am going to record the data in this particular order, in the particular manner. So you decide and then go and observe. That is called systematic observation. Systematic observation can be replicated. In the sense, see, today you went and observed. Tomorrow, if you want to observe, again, what you can do is that you can ask somebody else to go with the same guidelines, what you prepared, what is to be observed, in what order it is observed, how it is to be recorded, in what order things are to be recorded. Everything is clear, structured. You hand over this instruction to the person concerned. He can go and observe tomorrow. So the replication is possible in the case of systematic observation. When you talk about unsystematic observation, you don't follow any rules and regulations with regard to the things to be observed, the things to be recorded, or things to be entered. You just go and observe. That is unsystematic observation. Observation can be natural observation. You go and observe something which takes place in its natural settings. Okay, you have not done anything. And otherwise, we have a laboratory observation where you go to a laboratory where things are set. Okay, things are set in a controlled environment, then you observe. That is called laboratory observation. Then comes open observation. It's similar to participant observation, where you go and tell the people your identity. I am so and so. I am from so and so place. I have come for this particular purpose. You tell the people and then you participate. It's an open observation. In the hidden observation, we are not revealing our identity and we are not revealing the purposes for the purpose of which you are observing them. You are just here hiding these particulars you are observing. That is called a hidden observation. It is somewhat equal to participant and non-participant observation. Then comes a direct observation. You go to a place to observe some 40 children. You are not exercising any control. You are not trying to manipulate anything. You are not trying to change anything. As it happens, you go to observe things as they happen. That is called direct observation. In the case of indirect observation, see, the participants are not ready to take part and become a part of observation, or the subject which you like to study is dead. In those cases, you can go for indirect observation. For example, a crime has happened. Okay, so once a crime has happened, the inspector, they go after the event, they go and find out the traces left by the criminals. They try to observe things. So that kind of things, you know. For example, you take a marriage hall where lunch is being provided. Okay, so what you can do is that at the end of every round of lunch, you go and open the leaves and check what is being left by the people. Okay, which is not liked by them. The things what they waste more. So these kinds of observations are called indirect observation. Fine. Okay. Then comes interview. You know very well, interview is the very, very formal method of getting answers from the respondents, where you have an interaction, face-to-face interaction with the respondents. Okay, why? Because you want to get some specific information from them, so you are having a face-to-face interaction with them. It can be either personal investigation, direct personal investigation, or it can be indirect personal investigation. So direct means you talk to the people face-to-face. Indirect, you talk to them over the phone, okay, or through charts, something like that. You talk to them directly, but either directly or indirectly. Okay, but there is a personal touch between you and the person from whom you need to collect data. Good. Structured interviews, so very simple. Here we have all the questions ready with us. Okay, we know what are the questions we are going to ask, what is the sequence in which questions are to be asked. We are not going to add any question. We are not going to delete any question during the interview. So that kind of interviews are called as structured interviews, which are used in normally descriptive research studies. Then comes unstructured interviews. Here, few questions are ready with the person who is going to conduct the interview, okay, the interviewer, but he's having every liberty to add questions, modify the questions, delete the questions, or change the sequence of the questions. So he's having that kind of autonomy with him. See, that kind of interviews are called unstructured interviews, which are mostly used in exploratory studies. Fine, good. Then comes focused interview, where the entire interview will be focusing on a particular experience and its effects. So we are asking the respondents, what is the effect of the drop boxes inducted in our circulation counter? Very, very focused interview. Then clinical interview. So whenever you want to understand the broad underlying feelings or the motivation of the readers, you can conduct clinical interview. And it is mostly used in case studies methods and all. It is also called as personal history interview, and it is an unstructured interview. Fine. Then comes non-directive interview. Here, the interviewer who is taking the interview, he is simply acting as a catalyst. He will simply go and pose some questions and wait for the answers from the interviewee. Okay. With the participants, whatever answer they give, based on the answers, he will frame his own questions. He'll make things interesting. So that kind of interview is called non-directive interview. Good. Then we have depth interviews. As I told you, I think I was telling about the focus interview. We have kind of focus interview where we are trying to find out the motivation behind the respondents for the happening of certain things in the library. Or we would like to find out their needs, their desires, their feelings. See, when you want to get their feelings, desires, needs, you can conduct depth interviews. Fine, good. The depth interviews can be either projective or non-projective. Projective means you'll be focusing on a particular, their opinion on a particular thing, their feeling towards a particular library program, something like that. Non-projective means a very common understanding of their feelings. Then comes telephonic interview. These days you can conduct interviews over telephone. Or even we have computer-assisted telephone interviewing systems. Nowadays, many provisions are there, apps are there. You can conduct interviews over computers, no problem. Good. Okay. So there is something called interview schedule. What is an interview schedule? So before you are going to conduct an interview, you prepare a list of questions, printed questions, and you have fixed what is the first question I am going to ask, what is the second question I am going to ask. All the questions are printed, and you ask a question. The interviewee, the participant, will give the answer. As an interviewer, you are recording the answers in the interview schedule. Okay, and that is being used at the time of interviewing the people. So that kind of schedule is called as interview schedule. Fine. So whenever you want to conduct an interview method, what are the steps you need to follow? You have to plan the process. Okay, who is going to be interviewed, at what time, where, all those things. Then you have to construct the interview schedule. What are the questions I am going to ask? And third, you have to pre-test. Okay, before you finally use that particular schedule in the interview, you can go for a pre-test. Then you conduct the interview, record the answers. After recording the answers, you have to prepare the transcripts. So mostly when you are interacting with the people, you get only the oral answers. Okay, so oral answers are recorded using computers or cameras or video cameras, something like that, or your mobile phones. You are recording all the oral answers. Then all the oral answers are to be transferred into a textual form. That is called preparing the transcripts. Then you analyze data, then you give the report. These are steps involved in the interview method. Good. So apart from these 4 different methods called questionnaire, schedule, interview, and the so-called last method, interview method. Apart from these methods, we have some non-traditional, something called, we can say, indirect interviewing techniques. There are many methods are there. See, the purpose is to get the reply from the respondents. So we can use many different methods also. For example, they are called projective techniques. Okay. See, by showing something, by asking something, we are trying to understand what the respondents have in their mind, what they think and what they feel about a particular phenomenon. Indirectly, we don't ask them, but directly we don't ask them, but indirectly we are trying to guess what they may have in their mind. So that kind of collection of data is called as projective techniques of collecting data. For example, word association test. See, if somebody is asking me, sir, you are in Cochin for some years, you tell me something about Kochi, I have to give some term, some 5 to 10 words about Kochi. So what kind of words I will give? So that will tell the people what kind of person I am, what kind of mentality I have about Kochi. For example, if somebody asks about Kochi, I will tell a beautiful place, sea is there, you can go for fishing and boating, and very intelligent people are there. We have got handsome people over there, very decent and very culturally well-developed society. So these are the commands I give about a particular city when I heard the word Kochi. So people understand what kind of feelings and attitude I have towards Kochi city. The same way anything can be asked. Then sentence completion, you give a sentence, an incomplete sentence, you ask the people to complete it by using their own words. By judging what kind of words, what kind of answers they give, you try to judge what kind of people they are. Story completion, you can start a story, you can ask them to complete it. Then verbal projection test, we're asking the people what they feel about what others are doing. That's called a verbal projection test. Then comes using pictures. For example, you give some series of pictures. You are asking them what they feel about the picture. Or you are giving them some cartoons which have got some kind of balloons in them, words written over there. One or two places, the balloons should be empty and the respondents have to write the answers relating to that particular picture. Something like that. Or you take something like ink blots, no? You take ink and squat them on the white chartboard, something like that. It will form a figure. Okay, ink when you are squatted. So by seeing how it would look like, you can decide what kind of people they are. See, sometimes if you see, by seeing the sky, we see one elephant is there, one tiger is there, something like that. No? Same way, when ink is squatted on a plain surface, or a white surface, it becomes a form. That all depends on how you perceive. So based on all these things, maybe you can use some play techniques, some quizzes, some tests and examinations. So these are different methods that can be used by you to judge how people feel and how people react to a particular situation or a particular happening. Fine, good. Then comes library records. Even library records can be used as a source of data for your research work. You can see daily log. How many people are coming to library? What is the preferred time of the users? During which time more number of users visit the library? Which course children visit the library most often? UG children or PG children? If they are PG children, which subject students are visiting the library most? So these are all data you can collect from daily log register. Then you have book issue register, computer use register. So if you're having a digital library in your library, you can maintain a register where you can record who comes to library to access the digital library, how many hours they spend, what kind of sites they try to access, what are the problems they have in accessing. So all these things can be studied by seeing a computer use register. Then you can have a reference book usage register, library accession register. Library accession tells you what is the number of books you have purchased every year, how much amount you have spent, what amount is spent for each and every department. So those things you can get from library accession register. Then diary of library events, guest register, library committee proceedings, library activities register, and many more are there. Okay, so even by having a look at your own library records, you'll be able to collect some kind of primary data. Fine, good. Then finally, you have checklist. The checklist is a very, very simple method for collecting data. So whenever you want to go and observe some people or some event, or whenever you want to go and evaluate somebody, evaluate an institution, what you can do is you can prepare a checklist. So checklist is nothing but a list structure of points. List of points. Points are given as a list over there. What you have to do, very simple. You are having a checklist with you. You go to your library and see. Computerized? Yes, no. One tick, over. Computers are there? Yes, no. Reference books are there? Yes, no. Library is arranged properly? Yes, no. So just you have to mark whether the points which are listed in the checklist are present or absent. That's it. And sometimes, in some cases, apart from marking the presence or absence of a particular thing, even you can use short comments, not very lengthy comments. Very short comments can be given in the space provided in the checklist itself. See, what is the benefit of this checklist? The checklist will structure a person's observation. See, you need not observe everything available in a particular situation. You have a checklist, you will look for only those items, observe only those points keenly and mark it. Very simple. And apart from that, if there is a well standardized checklist, it can be used for providing consistency over time. Either this month or after 2 months, after 6 months, anytime. Whether I am coming or she's coming or who is coming, absolutely no problem, because checklist is only one. You are going to observe those points only. Whoever going to whoever is going to use checklist for the purpose of evaluating you or measuring the performance of your library, they all will get a consistent questions. Okay, so that is the advantage of checklist. Good. So that's about the 9.4. Now let me start the question answer. My PDF file is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's begin with units 9.1 and 9.2 research methodology. I have collected questions from December, I'm sorry, December, not December, I think June 2005 to June 2020, around 10 to 11 years questions I have collected for you. We'll just discuss those questions. Okay. Maybe after discussing for some time, if you feel like asking some questions, you are most welcome. Fine, good. Okay, we'll start from December 2006. First question: historical, descriptive, and experimental methods are scientific methods. Fine. See, we can say that experimental methods and descriptive methods are scientific methods, but always there is a debate whether historical method can be accepted as scientific method. Okay, so assertion A can be false. Then reason: a scientific method is one that adopts a logical and systematic procedure. It is right. So R is true. Next question. You have to compare these two things. Okay, research methods and type. Okay, see, let us start with a very simple one. Okay, what is a direct method? You know what is direct method? Observation. Observation is a direct method where you go observe and get things. So C is equal to 4. Then comes questionnaire. What is questionnaire? Questionnaire is the data collection tool. So when you get at least 2 correct answers, your pakka, you can go to options and find out. See, for example, B means 1. Okay, so B is equal to 1. So B is the right answer because there is only one option where B is having 1 as the option. Okay, so B is the answer. Let us discuss other things also. Then we have content analysis and case study. Okay. What is content analysis? Content analysis talks about whenever you are having a qualitative text with you, content analysis will try to explore what are the various concepts and items that have occurred in that particular text, how frequently they have occurred. So that kind of analysis called as content analysis. So content analysis is a qualitative methods of analysis. Fine. What about case study? Case study is one of the methods of research. Fine, it's very clear. Okay, and we have got a good number of online tools for conducting content analysis. For example, we have Data Box plus Google, we have Keyword Density Checker, we have Word Count, we have Blaze, we have a search combination tool. So these are few tools that can be employed by you to conduct content analysis. Okay, but I'm sorry, I don't know whether these tools are free or not. I have not checked them. June 2007, research is a total process consisting of a series of steps. Yes, correct, let us accept it. Sometimes several steps are carried out simultaneously. No. In research, we don't carry out many steps together. We carry out each and every step one after the other. So A is true, R is false. Okay. Next question. In survey research, the commonly used techniques for gathering data are questionnaire, the interview, and the observational technique. Exactly. So whenever you talk about survey, you mean you go to people directly and collect data from them. That is called survey research. In survey research, the most commonly used methods of data collection are questionnaire, interview, observation. So A is correct. Let us go to R. These are least effective for collecting data about perceptions, beliefs, attitudes, etc. of persons. This is false because all these tools can be effectively utilized for getting information about the people or getting the perceptions, beliefs, and attitudes. Absolute no problem. So R is false. Next question. Arrange the following research steps according to the sequence of their occurrence. Okay. So if you go through all the steps, what the first step? See, very, very simple. Hypothesis, data analysis, data gathering, and report. But the first step, you need to talk about hypothesis. You have to frame the hypothesis. Good. Then you have to decide how you are going to collect data. Then you have to talk about data analysis. Then you talk about report writing. That is the order. Formulate the hypothesis, collect data, analyze data, and report the data. This is the order. Fine. Okay. Next, cost benefit analysis means. So whenever you say cost benefit analysis, you are always measuring the performance of a library or a particular program in a library or a particular event of the library based on the cost whatever was incurred in conducting that particular event. So what is the right answer? Performance evaluation based on cost. B is the right answer. Then comes in a questionnaire on age, income, and gender are the examples of what? Okay, they're asking, they are giving few items and they're asking what kind of variables they are. Okay, see, I have a kind of a contradiction with this question. Age is okay, gender is okay. Age and gender can be categorized as dependent variable. I'm sorry, independent variable. I'm sorry. Age and gender can be categorized as independent variable. But income can be categorized either as independent variable or as dependent variable. It depends on the question. Okay, fine. I think if they ask a question like question on age and gender, you write independent variables. Income can be either dependent variable or independent variable. It depends on the question. Okay, fine. So dependent variable, independent variable, there is something called intervening variables. Please understand, when I had a session last time, I was talking to you about extraneous variables. I think you remember. But here we talk about intervening variable. So intervening variables are those variables that may create an impact on the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable. Okay. For example, there is a statement like this. What statement? Poverty may be a reason for short lifespan of the people. Okay. If you take this kind of hypothesis, okay, poverty is the independent variable. Life expectancy or lifelong, the how many years a person lives. So life expectancy, no? So that is called dependent variable. But you can say that how poverty will lead to short lifespan. This may be explained by additional variables like, so when a person is poor, he's having less access to healthcare and he's not able to get nutritious food. Because of these reasons, he is going to have short lifetime. Fine. So these kind of variables which may create an impact on the relationship between independent variable and dependent variable are called as intervening variable. These variables are caused by the independent variable and they are the cause of the dependent variable. Okay, please, good. Then arrange the following steps in research in the sequence of their occurrence. Okay, it's very, very simple. Okay, report writing may be the last one, you know very well. Research design, collection of data, analysis. So what can you write sequence? First, you have to design, you have to prepare a design, how you are going to conduct the research. Then you collect the data, then you analyze the data, then you give a report. It's a very simple questions. Okay, good. Then, like social scientists, the natural scientists can also collect data by conducting experiments, interviewing, observing people, and reviewing literature. This is correct, because just like social scientists, even natural scientists also can collect data by using all these methods. Absolutely no problem. Reason: social scientists cannot be as objective as can be natural scientists. This is also true, because when you talk about natural scientists like physicists or chemists or biologists or botanists, they have very controlled experiment, controlled environment. They can be very, very, very objective. But in the case of social sciences, sometimes subjectivity takes place. Some bias may be there. Some self-influence may be there. So that is more in the case of social scientists than in the case of natural scientists. So both A and R are true. Fine. Okay. Then arrange the following in a logical sequence. I think same question they're asking again and again. No problem. So as usual, you have to formulate the hypothesis, select the sample, collect data, analyze the data, and write the report. Okay, it's a very simple question. Infros is an important study frequently quoted in. See, infras is a study called information requirements of the social scientist. Okay. So this study was conducted by University of Bath, okay, of UK during 1967 and 1970. See, they were surveying thousands and thousands of social scientists for the purpose of understanding the information needs and the requirements of social scientists. Okay. In fact, this was supported by a section called Office for Scientific and Technical Information of British Library. They sponsored this particular experiment. Okay. So this infra is the best example for survey research. I think you remember about Cranfield experiment 1 and 2. I told you that is the best example for experimental research. In the same way, infras is the best example for survey research. Good. Yes. Then historical research cannot be regarded scientific as it lacks replication and reliability. Yes, it is true. Because history study cannot be regarded scientific because of two reasons. One is there is no point for replication. What is replication? Repetition. See, in the case of a normal study, you do a study here in UG first year. Same study can go on to UG second year also, UG third year also. You can conduct, no problem. Repetition is possible. Okay. You can conduct today an experiment in a particular lab. Tomorrow you can conduct the same experiment in another lab. No problem. Replication is possible. But in the case of historical research, if you do a research in Kochi about Travancore Maharaja, only there you can conduct. You cannot go to Palakkad, you cannot go to some other place and conduct a research on Travancore Maharaja. Fine. So I'm just giving an example. Okay. So in historical research, replication is not possible. And also there is a less possibility for reliability also. So what is reliability? As far as research is concerned, reliability means how consistently your research method or your research tool is giving the same answer. You should be able to produce consistent and stable results whenever you are using that particular method. That is called reliability. But in historical research, you go to ask the people about the old tradition, you will get different answers. Reliability may not be as accurate as you have in other social sciences. Fine. So A is right. Then historical research is truly scientific as it is based on criticism. It is false. Okay. We cannot say that it is truly scientific. And remember, in historical research, I think in the first class I told you about internal criticism and external criticism, the two important factors with regard to historical research. I think you remember that. Okay, good. Then all research results lead to propounding of new laws, theories, and principles. Okay, it may not be true because even now we have a lot of PhD works, MPhil works, all the research works. They don't lead to new ideas. They don't lead to new theories. They don't lead to new principles. So A is false. What about R? Laws, principles, and theories are the result of scientific result. Exactly. Whenever you do some scientific research, you will get laws, principles, and theories. So R is correct. Fine. December 2012, knowledge is growing exponentially. Correct. Number of researchers have increased. True. So both A and true are true. Very simple question. Okay. Then which are the factors is not helping limiting the external validity? See, whenever you do a research, we talk about validity. In validity, we have got something called external validity in the sense, see you conduct a research, you get some findings. Okay. 1 minute. You do a research, you get findings. To what extent the findings of your study can be applied and generalized to another group of people? See, in Ernakulam, you conducted study among an arts college student. Is it possible that you can conduct same study in Thrissur and some other place and get the same results? Whether the findings of Ernakulam city can be used for generalizing things in Kerala? So that kind of validity should be there in many researches. Okay, that is called external validity. But there are some issues, there are some factors that limit because of these factors, we are not able to achieve 100% external validity of our data. What are the factors? One is ecological validity or ecological effect. They have repeated actually. That means, see, when you do a research in a particular situation, if the same situation is almost prevailing in other areas, you can apply. But when the ecology is entirely different, then your findings may not be generalized to other area which is having a completely different ecological background. That's one problem. And secondly, interaction between selection bias of experimental variables. That means when we are going to select the samples of your study, your sample does not represent the population. So you have not followed a proper sampling methodology to choose the subjects for your study. So the sample is not truly representing the population. In these two cases, you may not be able to get findings of your study which may have external validity. Okay. But reactive effect is something different. It is not no connection with the external validity of the research work. So fine. Then, which are the following variables can be expressed in quantitative terms? Okay. So socioeconomic status, marital status, numerical aptitude, and professional attitude. Out of these things, see, socioeconomic status means whether you are very rich, you are poor, something like that. So it can be represented quantitatively. Marital status, yes, no, qualitatively. Professional attitude, better attitude, normal attitude, weak attitude, maybe qualitative terms. So numerical aptitude. So how good a person is in mathematics, in numerical countations, how much score he gets. So that can be expressed in quantitative terms, absolutely no problem. Okay, good. Then June 2013, in conducting research, social sciences are not considered at par with the natural sciences. Absolutely. Because there are a lot of differences in validating the findings of social science research and science research. Always both are not considered at par, equal. A is right. Then research in social sciences can't be performed so rigorously as can be natural sciences. That is true. In social sciences, sometimes we may not have any control over the variables. We just go and observe. In the case of sciences, they set everything in a laboratory condition, well structured, well defined. So it's very rigorous. So both A and R are true. Okay, good. Then research starts in mind first and then in laboratories. True. Okay. Systematically conducted research leads to generalization. True. Both are true. Okay, let us accept it. Then June 2013, you are asked to match the different methods of research. Okay. For example, finding solution to the problem of pilferage in libraries. What is this pilferage? See, people come and steal some papers, newspapers. They will tear some papers and all from magazine. That is called pilferage. See, when you are having a local problem, when you want to get a solution for your in-house problem, that is called action research. We discussed already. Okay. Then implementation of cloud computing services in special libraries. So you are implementing cloud computing in some special libraries. So you will find what are the independent variables, what are dependent variables, what factors may create impact on this particular cloud computing services. Okay, what are the factors I need to consider? So that kind of research we do. It is called experimental research. Okay. Then a study of mathematician turned librarian. So best example is our Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, who was a mathematician. Then he became a library science gentleman. So when you are conducting a study on a biographical sketch of Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, it is called as historical research. Okay, a study of mathematician turned librarian is historical research. Then comes use of web resources in central universities of India. It is just a survey study. You go to all the central universities, you collect some users, hand out the questionnaires, collect the data. It is survey study. Okay, I think fine, it's clear to you. Then September 2013, historical research has been regarded to be truly scientific by many authorities. Historical evidences can be replicated. I'm sorry, both are false. We have discussed about historical research. Then matching the variables. So you can see here, gender. Gender is a binomial variable. That means either you have male or female. Okay, in general, I'm telling in general, either male or female. So it is a binomial variable, two variables, two levels. Then information technology, normally information technology will be a independent variable. So we study what is the impact of information technology on library services, on library users. So information technology is an independent variable. Okay, fine. Then comes a logical set of attributes, okay, variables. Okay, logical set of attributes that you use in a particular research study are called as variables. What is left out? Only one thing: usership in libraries. That is a dependent variable. Okay, see, impact of ICT on the use of libraries, on the user's behavior, on user expectation. That is dependent variable. Okay, fine. I think it's clear to you. Then once I have to match it. Behavior studies. What is a behavior study? Whenever users come to the library, how they behave in the library system, how they approach catalog, how they approach their help of reference librarian, how they approach the shelves and search for the materials. They're all their behaviors. It's okay. So behavior studies talk about interaction of users with the communication system, any communication system, the library, archives, museum, internet, anything. Okay. Then use studies. Use study means what you are using. Okay, for example, we have use of communication medium, use of internet, use of mobile, use of latest gadgets for updating you. There are use studies. Then comes usage study. That means to what extent the library users are making use of the facilities available in the library or services available in the library. It belongs to usage study. Then comes information flow study. If you take bibliometric study or syntagmatic study, they all belong to information flow studies, where we study the pattern of science communication, how scientific research is communicated to people, authorship pattern, language, document type, bibliographic style, all those things we study, no, they belong to information flow studies. Okay, yes, I think you're clear. December 2013. They have talked about different phases. Okay, see, for example, survey of requirements. So what kind of requirements the library has? So that belongs to analysis. You are analyzing the requirements of a library or an individual, either for library programs or for conducting research work. Then comes the determining cost efficiency and effectiveness. Okay, that is evaluation. When you do a program, you evaluate in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. Then review of the programs and their goals. It's a design phase. Okay, because after conducting the program, you review the program. Based on the review, you may bring some changes in the design of the program. Either you make some modification or you delete few items in the design. That you do. Okay. Then complete change over basics of system. That is called installation. When you want to change one particular thing entirely, you have to throw off already existing one and you have to install a fresh one. Maybe a program, maybe a computer system, maybe a OS, maybe a library automation software, anything for that matter. Okay, that is called installation phase. Okay, I think it's clear to you. Okay, then comes social microscope. Okay, I think you might have heard about the term social microscope. And there's a social scientist called, I think his name is Burgess. Okay, see, Burgess is a gentleman who recommended the use of the term social microscope in the place of case study, because he felt that case study method is the best method where you can go and explore the complex behavior, the complex traits of the people. Okay, that's why he told social microscope for case study. Okay, let's come back. So social microscope is a case study method. It's another name for case study method. Then fundamental research, I know. In fundamental research, we do research for the sake of research, for the sake of getting knowledge, for the sake of improving the knowledge available in a particular domain. So what's the answer? Knowledge for knowledge sake. Then comes ex post facto research. Okay, what is this ex post facto research? After the fact research. Okay, when something happened, when something is over, you go to the place, you do a survey. That is called ex post facto research. In this research, no control over variant. It means you don't have any control over the variance. Everything has finished. You just go and see what happened and report. That's it. Then comes multi-stage random sampling. It is a kind of a cluster technique. How you take the entire India, you make them into clusters of states, districts, towns, panchayats. That's called multi-stage random sampling. Okay, fine, it's clear to you. Then comes approaches to research is not dependent on epistemologies. So what is epistemology? You know, in those days, philosophers, those belong to Indian philosophy, Confucius, Chinese philosophy, the philosophers use this particular method for studying the nature, origin, and limits of human knowledge. Okay, it's a kind of a theory of knowledge. But in fact, in these days, research, we don't depend on those philosophical nature of studying human knowledge. We have come to a very scientific method. So A is true. We don't depend on epistemologies. Because scientific research relies on the application of scientific method. I think we discussed what is scientific method. We identify the problem, you do a review, you prepare the hypothesis, you decide the research design, select the people, collect the data, analyze the data, and report. That's called scientific method. We are following scientific method. We don't depend on epistemology these days. Okay, good. Then June 2014, arrange the following processes of research in order. I think you know very well. First, you have to do a review of literature. After review, you have to design your research design, exploratory or descriptive or diagnostics or experiment, whatever it may be. Then you have to collect data and you have to integrate the ideas. And based on that, you have to build your theory. Okay. See, in social science, there is a method called grounded theory. See, what does this theory say now? See, you have to do a review of literature, collect the data. After collecting the data, you systematically analyze the data, you compare the data, and then you frame a new theory. So that kind of a method of developing a theory is called as grounded theory in social science. These are the steps you can see about grounded theory. You do a review of literature, you form a research design, you collect the data, integrate the data, analyze the data, and based on data, you build a new theory. Fine. These are the steps in the grounded theory of research process. Good. Then, case situations are seldom comparable. Okay, whenever you are doing a case study, in the case study, you take some specific group of people or institutions or libraries or programs and you do your research. They are seldom comparable because every case situation, every case item is completely different from other item. Okay, so they are seldom comparable. So A is true. Then the subject and the case study are usually described in terms of characteristics exhibited by them. Exactly. So if you are doing a study on a particular case, you are 100% A to Z, you analyze the traits, throughout the life of the particular unit, whatever traits, interaction of traits, complexity of traits, exploration of traits take place. So R is correct. Okay, both A and R are correct. Next one, you have to match it. Okay, let us match. We'll go from list 2 to list 1. Okay, critical evaluation of available facts or information. So already facts and information are available. Only thing is you have to critically evaluate. That is called analytical research. Okay, then surveys and fact-finding inquiries, very simple. They are descriptive research, you know very well. Relies on experience or observation alone. Empirical research, I told you, two kinds of research: conceptual research, empirical research. In empirical research, we go and observe, we collect data, and based on experience, you give results. That is called empirical research. Then comes finding a solution to an immediate social problem. See, we are not talking about your in-house local problem. We are talking about a social problem. What you can do, you can go applied research. Fine. I think you are very familiar with different methods of research. Then, most information retrieval systems that use the qualitative research techniques explore the information seeking and retrieval behavior of users. Exactly right. Whenever you talk about qualitative research, you try to explore their behavior. What behavior? In terms of an information retrieval system, what are the behaviors you can observe? How they seek information, on how they retrieve the information. So A is right. Then the qualitative research methods help to explore human behavior. Exactly right. So both A and R true. Okay. 2016 research methodology involving the construction of theory through analysis of data is known as grounded theory. I think I explained now. Actually, the fact grounded theory was proposed by one Glaser and Strauss in 1967. Fine. Okay. Then, in which of the following studies, a researcher is required to examine some specific subpopulation as they change time? Please understand here, cross-sectional studies are one-shot studies. You go, collect data, work is over. They are called cross-sectional study. Then we have longitudinal research study, where you go and collect data from the people more than once. Okay, more than once. So we have trend study, we have cohort study, we have panel study. All are longitudinal research studies. But question is, see, in the case of panel study, you take same 40 students, you observe them in the first year, second year, third year, fourth year, after college years. That is called panel study. Trend study, you take last 10 years data, how much of amount you spend on chemistry books, you study. It's a trend study. Cohort study means you take a population and every time you go to collect data from the same population, you take a specific group of people and collect data. After some time, you take another group and go and collect data. So that kind of method is called cohort study. Okay, fine. I think we discussed it before. You need to match these things. Let us match. We'll go from list 2 to list 1. Studies of different units or culture or social groups. See, whenever you want to compare different units of different culture, different social groups, you can go for comparative research. Fine. Okay. Then describe reality as experienced by groups, communities, and individuals. Okay. Whenever you talk about the qualitative aspects, we are talking about qualitative research. Fine. Then employs measurement and statistical analysis. See, when you're applying a lot of statistical tools and techniques, naturally they are quantitative research. Lot of quantitative data is available. That is why we measure and we do statistical analysis. Then study of the problem or phenomenon over a period of time. Just now I told you, they are longitudinal research. Okay. Then again you have to match problem of gaps in periodical collection JNU library. So this is your local in-house problem. You are trying to find out the solution for your local problem. So it is called action research. Then use of measurement techniques in library science. See, you got some measurement techniques which you developed in your basic research. The tools of basic research, when they are applied in a particular environment, it is called as applied research. So what is the answer? Applied research. Then use of library in public schools in Delhi. It is a kind of a survey. We go to selected public schools in Delhi. We collect data from the users. It is a survey research. Then 5 laws of library science. That is a basic research. It is a pure research. It is a fundamental research. Okay. Is it clear? So it's a basic research, pure research, or fundamental research. 5 laws of library science. Okay, next. Identify the criteria for evaluation of qualitative research. So when you want to evaluate a qualitative research, what are the criteria you can follow? See, objectivity, reliability, and validity. These are the 3 criteria. We call them as the Holy Trinity. Trinity means 3. They are Holy Trinity. Actually, what do they mean? Objectivity means when you are doing a research, you go and stand aloof. You stand yourself distanced from what you study, so that your intelligence, your appearance, your thing will not disturb the study. That is called objectivity. What is reliability? I told you. Reliability means if you are using the same method, same tool once again, you should get the same reply, same answer. That is called reliability of your research. Then comes validity. It means that, see, whatever your method, your instrument wishes to measure, it should be able to measure it. Okay, whatever it claims that I will be able to find out, the mechanism should be able to find out. That is called validity of the research method or research instrument. So objectivity, reliability, and validity are the three criteria that can be used for the evaluation of qualitative research. Okay, then. Okay, this is another matching. Let us move from list 2 to list 1. See, the most theoretical form of desk research, clarified terms and concepts. So what are we doing here? We are going to clarify the terms and concepts. So there is a research where we are doing a research on abstract ideas. We are trying to find out what is the meaning of these terms, what explanation we can give to these terms. So that kind of research is called as conceptual research. Okay, the conceptual research. Then, to assess the extent to which concepts and issues are mentioned or not, it is a content analysis. In content analysis, you take an article, you find out what terms appeared, in what connotation, how many times it has occurred. So that kind of analysis is called as content analysis. Okay. Then comes quantitative methods for describing. Let me come back to this finally. Quantitative data by statistical analysis. That is called bibliometric analysis. You take all the quantitative data and you analyze. And this one, they have given answer like meta-analysis. Quantitative methods for describing and analysis patterns of recorded communication. But actually, I was not getting exact meaning of this particular sentence. Actually, when I tried to get some research books, they say that, see, meta-analysis means, see, there's a problem. Many studies are conducted to get solution for that particular problem. Okay. So every study has got its own limitations and every study is capable of giving its own solution. Using meta-analysis, you are combining the measurement results of all the different scientific studies. You are pulling together, and together you would like to give a single consolidated answer. That is called meta-analysis. Okay, that is what I could get from literature. Okay, then ex post facto study. I told you, after a particular thing happens, you go and survey. That is called ex post facto. In fact, descriptive research design is also called as ex post facto study. In fact, ex post facto study is a variety, is a model, is a component of descriptive research design. Fine. I think I told you about historical design and diagnostic design. I didn't tell anything about quasi experimental design. See, in experimental design, we have independent variable, we have dependent variable, we have controlled group, and we have test group. There, we are assigning the respondents to control group and the experimental group randomly. Okay, that is what experimental research is all about. But in the case of quasi-experimental design, we have control group, we have test group, we have independent variable, we have dependent variable, we have pre-test, we have post-test. Everything is there, but the respondents are not randomly assigned. You follow some non-random method of assigning students to two different groups, experimental group and the control group. That kind of method is called as quasi-experimental design. Okay, I think it's clear to you. Then, once again, you have to match it. Let's go from list 2 to list 1. Okay. Interpretation of abstract ideas, as I told you, conceptual research. Okay, we are trying to find out the meaning of concepts found in the abstract ideas. Survey and fact-finding inquiries, descriptive research. Formulation of theory, this is a fundamental research where you are forming new theories. Then substantial structure and hypothesis to be tested. Okay, that is called formalized research. A research where everything, data collection, analysis, everything is controlled, very strict. That's called substantial structure is available in that research. It belongs to formal research or formalized research. We call it by any name. Then participatory action research follows the conventional method of pure research. Okay, can you say so? Yes. Okay, yes. We cannot say, because conventional research, pure research is different. Action research is different. Pure research, we are trying to find out something very new, add knowledge. But in the action research, we are trying to find out a solution for the in-house problem. So it is a false. Then R. In participatory action research, no member of the community is under study participate throughout the research process. This is the wrong. Because in participatory action research, as I told you, the respondents, the participants are always with you from the beginning till the end of your study. They are participating. They are becoming a part and parcel of your research work. So both A and R are false. Okay. Next. Grounded theory methods in qualitative research start from same set of assumptions as traditional quantitative research design. So we cannot say so because both quantitative and qualitative terms are entirely different. So A is false. The inductive nature of these grounded theory methods allows the key issues emerge. That is right. Because you go to people individually, you collect data, analyze, compare, and frame a new theory. So here normally you are trying to find out what are the major problems, what are the key issues faced by the people. That will be automatically emerged when you collect data from the people and you analyze. So R is true. Okay, yes. Okay. Research method based on consensus opinions of panel of experts. I think we discussed Delphi method. I did not explain once again. Then matching here, ethnographic means social behavior. Ethnography, you know. Evaluative study, you are judging about the quality. Descriptive study, you are describing the present events. Experimental study, you are trying to find out the cause and effect relation between independent variable and dependent variable. Okay, very simple. Okay. Delphi techniques in social science research do not give weightage to consensus. Okay. Yes, it is false. Because in social science, Delphi technique, we give weightage to consensus. So that is why we can give the questionnaire second round, third round, fourth round, till we are trying to reach a consensus, a unanimous decision of judgments of all the experts. Consensus opinions expressed by the panel of experts is valuable in drawing inferences. So that is exactly a Delphi method is. So R is true. Fine. In social research, a high proportion of refusals to answer a research always occurs solely due to inadequate interview instructions or poor interview training. It is false. Because why people are not answering the question, there are many reasons. Okay, these are not only the reasons. They are not willing, they don't know the meaning of the question, they are not able to interpret the question. Okay, they don't like to answer. Many reasons are there. So A is false. Within the questionnaire or interview, even a substantive number of questions often remain unanswered, making difficult for the researcher to state an exact figure. That is true. See, whenever a good number of questions are not answered by respondents, it becomes difficult for the researcher to give an exact figure of what the study is all about. Okay, so R is true. Next, a statement is given to you. You have to find out what are all the independent variables in it. Okay, will students who are taught by a team of 3 teachers learn more science than students taught by one individual teacher? See here, you can see what is the independent variable. 1 teacher, 3 teachers, the independent variable. What is the dependent variable? The extent, the degree of learning science by students. So what are the independent variables? 1 teacher is an independent variable. More than 3 teachers is an independent variable. Okay, fine. Then, which are the following are the different types of longitudinal study? You know very well, cohort study, panel study, trendy study. All are longitudinal research. Okay. Delphi method is related to forecasting process based on panel of expert. That is exactly the right answer. Then research in progress database developed by InFlipNet is known as. You know very well about Shodh Gangotri. Shodh Gangotri is a free site where you can go and access the synopsis submitted by various researchers, the proposals submitted by various people for their research projects. All those things can be seen in Shodh Gangotri. Okay, Shodh Ganga is a free site for electronic thesis. National Digital Libraries Initiative of IIT Kharagpur. Vidyanidhi is an initiative of University of Mysore, where they were trying to give access to all the electronic theses and dissertations. Okay, fine. Then comes studies that are longitudinal and prospective in nature and collect information from the same respondent. I told you, if you are collecting data from the same respondents again and again, it is called panel study. Okay, good. Then these are the steps in conducting a case study. You have to arrange these steps in a particular order. Okay, let me give the answer. Okay, first one, you should understand what is the present status of the case you are studying. Okay, determination of status of the phenomenon. Then what you have to do? You have to collect the data and you have to examine the given phenomenon. Then what you have to do? You have to diagnose and identify the factors and you try to find out what treatment can be given. Then finally, you have to apply all the remedial measures. So these are the steps in a case study method. Okay, then final question from unit 9.1 and 9.2. When knowledge is derived by employing logic and reason over sensory experience, it is termed as. Okay, so if you are using your sensory experience, 5 senses to gather data to gain knowledge, that is called as empiricism. What is rationalism? You are using your intellectual reasoning to gain a knowledge, that is called rationalism. What is pragmatism? See, whichever can be effectively, practically, satisfactorily applied in a real life situation, they all become knowledge. That is called pragmatism. What is historism? See, if a particular concept is important due to its place, due to its time, then that is called as historicism. Okay, I think it's very clear. So 9.1 and 9.2, I think I have completed. Let me come back to 9.3 and 9.4. I think I will quickly rush up and then we will have a question answer session if at all you have any questions. Okay, fine. June 2005, formulation of research hypothesis implies, very simple, I told you, hypothesis is called as tentative generalization in social sciences. Okay, what is the answer? Formation of tentative generalization. Next one, hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Okay, 2 and 3. That is the statement of assumption. It is a statement to be tested. Okay, hypothesis is nothing but an assumption which is to be tested. It's very clear, I think. 1 minute. Yes. Next one. If the size of the study population is very small, the following sampling method will give better results. So, especially you have got very limited number of students in the class. You want to do a research, what you can do is that you can go and find out. Those who are good in sports, please stand up. Only 4 or 5 or 10 will stand up. You conduct a study only among those children who are good in sports. So, you normally follow purposive sampling. Okay, then. A statement that is to be tested in research is called, it can be a problem, it can be assumption, it can be hypothesis. I say all the above is the right answer. Okay. Questionnaire is a tool for data collection. No more explanation. A research design is a series of guideposts. So they are giving a guide what is to be done at the time of designing, at the time of review, at the time of data collection, at the time of analysis. So a series of guideposts is called as research design. Okay. Arrange the following 4 quadrants of spiral scientific method in their logical order. I think I had given you an elaborate explanation. N, nadir, ascendant, zenith, descendant. This is the order in which 4 quadrants will be available in the spiral of scientific method. So nadir comes first, then ascendant, then zenith, then descendant. Nadir at the bottom, zenith is at the top, ascendant is a place where you are improving. Descendant is a place where you're coming down. Okay, you remember that kind of analogy. Which are the following is a term used for working assumption of a solution to a problem. Hypothesis, you know very well. A sample is a representation of the whole. Yes, correct. The sample is subjected to observation analysis. True. Okay, very simple questions. Same question, arrange all the 4 quadrants. In spiral of scientific method, zenith marks what? Okay, I told you there are 4 stages. In the first stage, we have empirical method. This is we are collecting data. Then second time, what you're doing, you are having deduced laws. Okay, empirical laws, fundamental laws. The laws are tested, and finally we have verification stage. So at the time of zenith as a quadrant, the result what we have is fundamental laws. Okay, fundamental laws, the result of are what you get at the end of zenith quadrant. You are getting fundamental laws. Okay, then hypotheses are essential in all types of research. Need not be. Okay, in many research problems we don't have hypothesis at all. No problem. I think even the other day a student asked me, research can be conducted without hypothesis. Is absolutely no problem. In certain cases you need not have hypothesis at all. Okay, then arrange the following in correct order. Spiral of scientific method. What is order? First we have empirical phase. What is empirical phase? You go collect data, you read literature, ask experts and gain knowledge. It is empirical phase. Yeah, accumulation of all the facts. Then comes hypothesizing. You are hypothesizing that this may be available, this may be a true, this may be a theory, this may be a law. You are proposing hypothesizing. Then comes deductive. You are using deductive logic to find out whether this can be turned into a law or a subject. Then comes verification. You are verifying whether the law you deduce is correct or not. These are the 4 steps involved in any scientific method. Okay, fine. Random samples are not representative of the whole population. It is false, because random samples are always the representative of the whole population. Random numbers are used in forming a random sample. Is correct. I told you about tippet random numbers. Random numbers which can be used for forming a random sample. So R is correct. Next, semantic differential scale is concerned with, I think you remember the semantic differential scale. I told you, no, when you want to select a leader, you have one semantic differential scale. Left side, all the positive things are there. Right side, all the negative things are there. For example, very active, very lazy, both the sides. 2 extreme opposite positions. Marks are given 3, 2, 1, -3, -2, -1. So that kind of scale is called as semantic differential scale. I think you remember that. Then, in spiral of scientific method, the span of zenith to descendant is called deductive phase. So when you are moving from zenith to descendant, what is that phase called? That is called deductive phase. From descendant to nadir, that is called, see, every phase has got a specific job to be completed. Okay, first we have empirical phase, then we have hypothesizing, then we have deductive phase, then we have verification phase. Here, zenith to descendant is deductive phase. Then descendant to nadir, that is verification phase. Nadir to ascendant, that is empirical phase. Ascendant to zenith, that is hypothesis phase. Okay, you need to remember the logical order of happening of these 4 stages of the scientific method in a spiral of scientific method. Okay, fine. Identify the techniques to collect the data regarding the number of persons visited the periodical section of the library at different hours. See, you want to find out how many people are visiting your periodical section. What method you can follow? Either you can follow observation. You sit in the corner, periodical section, you observe how many people are coming at what time. Otherwise, you can see library record, because whenever you are entering library, periodical section, they will write in the log, no, the data gate register, no. So based on that, you can find out. So these are 2 methods that can be employed by you. When population is heterogeneous, which of the following methods give better results? See, whenever you want to collect data from college students, they are heterogeneous because some UG students are there, some PG students are there. So you can follow stratified random sampling. You group them into different strata, 1 strata, 2nd strata, 3rd strata. Within every strata, you collect data randomly. That is called stratified random sampling. Okay, good. All researchers require hypothesis. False. No research is complete without testing hypothesis. False. Okay, as I told you, it is not necessary that you should have hypothesis for your research work. Okay, it is not required. If you feel it is required, you can have it. That's it. The normal curve in a distribution is, see, whenever you talk about the distribution of data, we have many distribution models. Many probabilistic models are there. Basically, they are called as normal distribution, Gaussian distribution, discrete distribution, continuous distribution. Many distribution models are there. But when you talk about normal distribution, how it will look like? No, see, it will look like as the figure given here. You can see a figure here, a histogram. The histogram, you can see the mean, median, mode, they will be almost equal. The median part will be always having large number of respondents, and the values lesser than mean, the values more than mean will be comparatively lesser in number. So this kind of distribution of data is called as normal data, normal curve in a distribution. Here, if you draw a line, this will look something like a bell. Okay, it looks a bell. That is called a normal curve is symmetrical. They're not asymmetrical. See, symmetrical means it will look like a bell. If it's not symmetrical, either the lengthy bars, either more number of lengthy bars, either they appear at the leftmost part of the figure or at the rightmost part of the figure. Okay, so they are symmetrical. They are bell-shaped, continuously curved. That is called a normal curve. Okay, fine. Here, if you see a normal curve, the normal curve will not touch x-axis. Okay, actually, in order to show you that it looks like a bell shape, they have touched the curve in the x-axis. Otherwise, the data will not touch x-axis in the case of normal curve. Okay, fine. Then here we talk about sampling. We'll just check this. Every unit of population has equal chance of being selected. Yes, that is random sampling we studied. Every nth case is selected from the list of population. What is that? Is systematic sampling. You have got a long list. First number is selected randomly, and all other numbers are selected at specific intervals. That is called systematic sampling. Units are randomly selected from the subgroups. Okay, we have a subgroups called stratified sampling. Okay, we have 3 or 4 subgroups. From every subgroup, you collect data. Then called geographical area based units called cluster. Cluster sampling is based on geographical area. Okay, it's very simple. Then this is scale about a question about scales, different kind of scales, what we studied in our previous classes. Okay, approach of measuring two opposite sets of terms. I don't know, semantic differential scale. Very intelligent idiot. You have got both extremes, you get the answer. Semantic differential scale. Then approach of measurement yielding a single score. That is called cumulative scale. What is a cumulative scale? You get 5 or 6 answers, something like a Likert scale. No, you get 5 or 6 sentences to explain a particular phenomenon. All the phenomenon, all the statement joined together, they explain a particular phenomenon. That is called cumulative scale. Approach of measurement adopting bipolar objective rating to study a social phenomenon. That is called summated scale. I think we studied about different summated scales like Likert scale, Thurston scale, and we have studied about Goodman scale. So all those things are to study the social phenomenon. We are using objective rating. Fine. Okay. Approach to measure interaction pattern among close associates in a variety of groups. Sociometric score. So whenever you talk about the social interactions, the close associations, attractions or repulsions in a particular group, you can always go for sociometric scale. I think you are remembering all those scales we discussed in the previous classes. Fine. Then here we talk about validity. See, whenever you talk about validity, we say that, see, for example, if you say that I can exactly describe how students are behaving in a college, you are asked to give your comments. You give your comments. We take all your comments. We go to a college. We really check whatever you are told is correct or not. If it is correct, then you are having a validity. In the same way, whatever research method you follow, your research method should be able to exactly measure what it aims to measure. That is called validity. We have got different validity in your research methods. Normally, we categorize them into 4 categories: content validity, construct validity, criterion related validity, and phase validity. What are these validity? That's what we are discussing now. Okay. The assessment device that appears to measure the subject matter. So subject matter can be checked with the phase validity. Then the assessment device in which individual's test score predicts the probable behavior on a second variable. That is called criterion related validity. See, when a particular individual is giving an answer to a particular question, sometimes you will be able to judge how this fellow will answer the second question. So that kind of thing is called criterion related validity. Then the assessment device which adequately measure the major dimensions of behavior under consideration, that is called content validity. Whether your device is able to exactly adequately measure the behavior whatever you want to study, that is called content validity. Then finally we have the assessment device which appears to measure the general elements, okay, not the subject elements, general elements, that is called construct validity. So please understand, these are the 4 different validities. When you're using SPSS, no, we have got some kind of tools for checking the construct validity and content validity of the questionnaires that you can use in your research work. We have some tools to check all these validities and all. I have just given some explanation. You can go through them when you are free, in fact. Okay. The source of the hypothesis as enunciated by P.V. Young. That means when you want to frame a hypothesis, what are the sources from where you come to know about the hypothesis? You know hints about hypothesis. Okay. They are, one is culture. By observing people's culture, you can frame hypothesis. Based on analogy, you are comparing. When something happens in a library, you can have a hypothesis whether same thing will happen in my library also, analogy. Then genealogy, it talks about see your father, your grandfather, grandfather's grandfather, grandfather's grandfather's grandfather. So that kind of descent, according to P.V. Young, genealogy, culture, and analogy can be used as sources for your hypothesis. Okay, fine. Women are more in library profession than men. So here, what kind of variables are they? Question is a dependent variable. It's a very simple question. Systematic sampling. What kind of sampling is systematic sampling? It is a probability sampling. Okay, you know very well, probability, non-probability. Something like random sampling, stratified sampling, systematic sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling, all are probability sampling. So systematic sampling is a probability sampling. Here, first unit is selected randomly. I told you, no, systematic sampling. Okay. Then this you know very well, matching the quadrants. Then which are the following is non-probability sampling. See, quota sampling, judgment sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling. Out of these 4, 2 are probability sampling methods and 2 are non-probability sampling methods. What are they? Cluster sampling, multi-stage sampling, both are probability methods. Judgment sampling, quota sampling, both are non-probability methods. You know it. Okay. Mail survey, a data collection techniques in which questionnaires are mailed to potential respondents who in fill and return at their convenience become absolute. No, we cannot say it is not absolute. Even now, even for my own research study, which was conducted a couple of years before, I sent questionnaires to all the librarians of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Okay, so it's not absolute. So A is wrong, false. Survey Monkey, the free online survey tool, has totally replaced the traditional mail survey. No, it has not totally replaced. It is also used as a tool by many of the experts. It can be a complement, but it cannot be a replacement. Okay, so both A and R are false. Which form of reasoning is the process of drawing a specific conclusion from a set of premises? I told you about inductive logic and deductive logic. In deductive logic, what we do is that we take a theory and we are checking whether theory is good. Kind of reasoning is called as deductive reasoning. Okay, I think you know it very well. Then you can match the hypothesis. I was telling you about different types of hypothesis. This is one set. What is a null hypothesis? I told you. A hypothesis which states that no relation between variables. There is no relation between boys and girls, the number of appams they can eat. This is a null hypothesis. Then comes working hypothesis. It is a statement of expectation. So before you finalize a valid research hypothesis, first you frame a working hypothesis. You check whether this can be taken as a hypothesis for your research or not. We are having some kind of expectation. That is called working hypothesis. Then comes explanatory hypothesis. There we are talking about relational proposition. You are giving an explanation for the relationship that may exist between two variables. That is called relational propositions. Then comes descriptive hypothesis, a very plain hypothesis which states that there is a relation between two variables. Okay, that is called descriptive hypothesis. It talks about the existence of the relationship between the variables. Okay, good. I give an explanation for all these hypotheses. You can go through them. The diary technique, I think I will take 2 or 3 more minutes, and we'll have a session on question answers. The diary technique enables a researcher to keep record of information activities of users for a specific period of time. Is it true? You can follow. The diary method is the most suitable technique. We cannot say, because better than diary method, we have observation method, we have interview method, we have schedule method, we have question method. So diary method cannot be claimed to be the most suitable method. It is also a method that can be adopted. Okay. Then you have to match these things. Okay. What is Likert scale? You know, Likert scale is summation scale. I told you, no, summation. What is summation scale? 10 or 15 statements are used to describe one phenomenon called work experience, work efficiency, satisfaction on library infrastructure. That is called summation scale. Why chi-square is used for test of significance? Chi-square is used. Why ANOVA is used? Test of significance or difference between variables. Test of validity is a test of measurement. When you want to measure the worthiness of your data collection tool or research method, you can go for test of validity. Okay, fine. Again, quadrants, you know your answer. I not discuss once again. Which are the following is not an example of non-random sampling? So convenient sampling is a non-random sampling. Snowball sampling is a non-random sampling. Purposive sampling is a non-random sampling. Census is not a sampling method at all, because in census method we go and collect data from everyone, each and everyone in the population. That is census method. Okay. What is null hypothesis? We say that there is a relationship between two variables in the population. Okay. And secondly, variables are related before statistical analysis. So before you conduct a statistical analysis, you decide whether there is a relationship between the variables or there is no relationship between the variables. Okay. It's very simple. Null hypothesis. Okay. And these are the steps you can follow in arranging how you can test a hypothesis. First one is you have to make a statement. You have to write null hypothesis. You have to write the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. First step. And secondly, you have to select the significant levels. I told you, no, 0.05 as your significant level. You can fix what is the rate of risk you can take. That is significant level. Then comes, you have to select a sample and you have to compute the value. Either you can compute the p-value or you can compute the score. I-square score, t-value means t-score you can calculate. Then you can calculate and compare the probability. You can compare the probability and you can decide whether you are accepting the hypothesis, you are not accepting the hypothesis. Okay, fine. These are the steps involved. Then different kinds of data. We have nominal data. What is nominal data? Gender, male, female. We are simply categorizing. That is called nominal data. Then comes ordinal data. What is ordinal data? We are ranking of library services. Very good. Which service very good? Which is good? Which is okay? Which is not okay? Ranking. That is called ordinal data. Okay. Then comes interval data. Level of satisfaction. See, level of satisfaction will never have 0. Nobody can say that my level of, if somebody says my level of satisfaction is 0, that is meaningless. Okay, level of satisfaction is ratio data. What is interval data? Exactly. Frequency of use of internet. Yes, I am using once in every day. I am using 2 hours. I am using 3 hours. I am using 3.5 hours. Exactly, you can say. If somebody says I am using internet for 0 hours, it means that he is not at all using the internet. So that is a interval data. Okay, fine, good. Then deliberate sampling is also known as, you know very well, it is a purposive sampling, it is a sequential sampling, and it is a non-probability sampling. All are same. That means you are selecting a sample based on a particular purpose. Okay, fine. Which are the following are types of random sample? Cluster sampling is a random sample. Stratified sampling is a random sampling. Systematic sampling is a random sampling. Purposive sampling is a non-random sampling. Okay. Which are the following are discrete distributions? Okay, I told you data can be either discrete distribution or continuous distribution. Discrete means you can say that this is what should happen, finite. Continuous means any option, anything may happen. Okay, see, a long list is there. These are all continuous distributions. They are all discrete distributions. The question is they're asking which of the following are discrete distributions? What are they? Geometric distribution, Poisson distribution, both are discrete distribution. In discrete distributions, we say that a particular thing will happen only this particular way only. You can be concrete. The result is countable. You have finite outcome. That is called discrete distribution. In statistics, no, we have many such kinds of distributions. Okay, fine. Once again, you have to match the scale, nominal, ordinal, ratio, and differential scale. I think you'll be able to do that. Sampling method, you know, systematic sampling. When your population is too large, you can go for systematic sampling. Only thing is you should have a list of all the people in the sample. You can go for systematic sample. Then comes stratified sample. So whenever you're having heterogeneous population, you can go for stratified sampling. Cluster sample, when you talk about scattered population, you go for cluster sample. And quota sample, no, you before you go on the decide sample, you decide I want to collect data from only those people, those who are having these qualities, these characteristics. So you go with a predefined notion for collecting sample. That is called quota samples. I think we have got some 20 more questions are there. I think you may go through those questions, and if at all you're having any query in respect of those questions, okay, I will share both these PDF files with Mr. Manoj. I think he'll be mailing or WhatsApp these 2 PDF files. You can go through the PDF files, and any query you have on these questions, you are most welcome. Okay, I think now it's the time for question answer session. I think you can post your questions, please. Yes, please. Any questions? Yes.
Sir, can you explain quota sampling once more?
Quota sampling. Okay. See, yes. In quota sampling, for example, you want to collect data from males and females. Okay. So before you go to collect data, you decide that I want to collect data from 60 female members and 40 male members. You decide well in advance. Your quota is decided before you go and collect data from the people. Okay. And you go to a people, you go to a set of people. For example, you want to collect data from the college students, you go to college students. But before you start collecting samples, you decide some characteristics, some traits. I am going to collect data only from those girls who are taller, very taller. Those are very short. Those are very fair. Those who are not coming to the college in uniform. Those who are not wearing ID card today. Are you getting the point? So you decide some qualities. So only those girls who are deciding those who are fulfilling that criteria, only they will be called for your sample. First girl. See, for example, you want to find out the people, those who are not wearing ID cards. So you will call only those people, those who are not wearing ID cards. When 60th person is interviewed, over. You will not call any more female. So that kind of method is called a quota sampling. Here we are not giving the possibility for every girl of the college to become a sample of your study. Very purposely, you have some traits, some characteristics. only those people who are fulfilling those characteristics only will be called for your sampling till you complete and finish your quota. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other question, please? I have a few more questions. I just rush through. In between, you can ask your questions. Because I don't want to waste your time in discussing some more questions. It will take some more time. Rather than I would like to answer your questions, please. Any other question, please?
Sir.
Please go ahead.
The spiral of scientific studies. First of is trend in the subject. Second one is trend in the resource. Third one is structure of the subject. Last one is none of the weakness, sir.
I think if you don't mind, please read the options once again, please.
Trend in the subject.
Trend in the study. Oh, no, that's not the answer. Okay.
Trend in resource.
No, that's not the answer.
Structure of the subject.
Yes, yes. We can say that structure of subject. When you study about different modes of formation of subject, spiral of scientific method tells you how a subject takes place. What are the different stages a subject goes through to become a science subject? That is what the whole thing is all about. Okay, so it can be taken as structural subject. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question, please? Any other question?
Sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, what is the difference between type 1 error and type 2 error?
See, whenever you are testing the hypothesis, there is a possibility of either rejecting the hypothesis or the possibility of accepting the hypothesis. Okay, either one will take place. How to accept or reject based on the results of your statistical test. You are conducting one t-test, independent sample test, one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, correlation. You conduct some statistical test and you decide whether you are going to accept or reject a null hypothesis. Okay. For example, a null hypothesis is true. You have to accept it originally. But by mistake, you are rejecting it. A null hypothesis which is to be accepted, by mistake, it is rejected by your study. That is called type 1 error. Okay. There is a null hypothesis which is to be rejected. Actually, it is to be rejected. But at the result of your study, you are accepting it. That is called type 2 error. Is it fine? Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Any other question, please?
Sir, what is null hypothesis?
A hypothesis which states that there is no significant relationship between two variables. Okay. If you say that, as I told you, there is no difference between male students and the female students and number of appams they eat for their breakfast. When you say that there is no relation between two variables, that kind of hypothesis is called as null hypothesis. Okay. Have you got the idea?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes. For example, you say that there is no difference between UG students and the PG students and the number of marks they score in the aptitude test. It's not hypothesis. There is no difference between assistant professors and associate professors and their information literacy skill. This is a null hypothesis. Okay. Okay. Any other question, please? Any other question? Okay. In case no questions from my side, I would like to end my presentation with 3 questions which were asked in June 2020 paper 2. Okay. On 9.3, 9.4. In sampling procedure, if you select every 10th name on a list, or every 15th house on a street, it is known as, you know very well, it is a systematic sampling. Okay, you know very well, we studied. Then, which are the following are formal experimental design? See, when I was teaching you on different research design, I was explaining about experimental designs. Okay, experimental designs can be classified into formal, informal. Okay, formal are very strict, informal are less sophisticated. Okay, and I told you in the informal we have 3 different methods: before and after without control, after only with control, before and after with control. So these 3 are the informal experimental design. What are the formal experimental designs? I told you about RB, randomized block design. I told you about Latin square design. I told you about factorial design. I think you remember, no? I was telling about agriculture, varying fertility level, soil and all. That is Latin square. Okay. Factorial design, whenever you want to study, the impact of more than one independent variable, then that becomes factorial design, called one-way ANOVA, two-way ANOVA, all those things. Okay, fine. These are the informal experimental designs. These are the formal experimental designs. Last question: which one of the following is not a type of measurement scale? I think question is wrong. All the 4 are measurement scales: interval scale, nominal scale, ordinal scale, ratio scale. All the 4 are 4 different measurement scales. Okay, yes. And that is what about today's session. And if any question, maybe 1 minute you can wait. Any question? Vandana? Vandana?
Sir.
Any question,
No,
Vandana?
sir. No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Ramya? Any question, Ramya?
No, sir.
No. See, I have some kind of likeness towards Ramya, because whenever I enter the class, Ramya will be the first candidate to come and join Google Meet. Okay, thank you, Ramya, for that.
Thank you, sir.
Jijila, or if any question, no other question, shall we wind up the session? Jijila,
Okay,
any question?
No, sir.
No. AB, any question? AB Joseph, any question?
No, sir. No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And next class, I would come to you with another presentation on 9.5, 6, and 7. Okay, so thank you. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Let's meet in the another session. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you so much, Pa. Thank you, Pa.